At the beginning of the movie, we see Nick and Audrey, who have now become private investigators after solving the murder mystery in Season 1. But unfortunately, they are not getting the results as they were expecting. They were losing all their hope. They were wondering to get a millionaire's case which can save their lives. In the night, they were talking about how they could improve their investigation company, and Nick got a call from one of his close friends, Maharaja, who invites both of them to his upcoming marriage, which is on his private island. Nick and Audrey decides that they should take a break from their boring work lives and attend the wedding, as all the expenses were paid by his friend itself. After they reached the island, they met Maharaja and his fiancée, Claudette. After the meetup, they reached their room and realized that it was really expensive and a luxury room, and this wedding is going to be one of the best weddings they have attended till now. In the night, they were getting ready to reach the party where Nick was using his visiting card for dental floss. And Audrey comes. Nick told her that she is looking fabulously amazing. They then go to the party, where they are amazed by the decorations. At the party, Audrey meets Francisco, who was one of the members of Maharaja's board of directors. Audrey leaves Francisco and Nick to have dinner. By the time she was serving food for herself, the Countess and Imani saw her and made a joke about Audrey as she had never seen food before. Feeling embarrassed, she tried to throw the food in the trash. But Sarah saw her doing it. Sarah asks for getting henna on her hands, but Audrey refuses. Audrey asked Sarah about her relationship with Maharaja. Sarah told her that she is the sister of the Maharaja. Shortly after Nick also arrived, they were having a conversation about the wedding and relatives. Sarah told about the Countess, who was the ex-fiancée of the Maharaja. Later, they were all having an entry dance for the entry of the Maharaja on an elephant. The elephant enters and soon they realize that someone has replaced the Maharaja with that person to distract them, while they get time to kidnap the Maharaja. Nick and Audrey, as private investigators, come into action and start collecting evidence. Nick follows the steps and sees that someone has kidnapped his friend and is going by speedboat. Later, he returns to the party and tells everyone that Maharaja has been kidnapped. He told them that kidnapping is done by at least 2 members and one of his partners is still on this island. He also said that the kidnapping is performed by the board members as they know about the elephant's entry, which means that a close relative is a kidnapper. Everyone starts blaming each other for the kidnapping. Seeing this, Nick and Audrey decide that they will take the responsibility to find out the Maharaja and solve this case as they are private investigators, and for this, they demand $25 million as a fee. After this, they start planning to find the kidnapper. Shortly after Francisco arrives in their room, he tells them that the kidnapping was done by Claudette as she is a gold digger, and therefore the board has a contract that, after Maharaja's death, she will not get anything from his property. And to get money, she planned a kidnapping. Soon after, Claudette arrives at the door. Nick and Audrey hide Francisco in the wardrobe. Claudette tells them everyone thinks she is with the Maharaja just because of his property, especially the Countess. She says that she has doubts that the Countess is behind the kidnapping because her marriage is not complete because of me. Soonly, Sarah arrives at the door, and Audrey hides Claudette behind the plant. Samira tells them that they should keep an eye on Claudette, as according to her, she is a very greedy woman, marrying her brother just because of his property. Soon after, the Countess and Imani arrive, and Audrey hides Samira in the bedroom. The Countess and Imani tell us that the kidnappers are none other than Francisco, as he has about 100 paternity cases to settle and has kidnapped the Maharaja to do so. She also says that she has doubts that he is stealing money from his company. As a result of this, Francisco loses his temper and comes out of the wardrobe and tells everyone that he never steals money from the company. Seeing this, everyone comes out. The colonel later arrives with his team. Meanwhile, Claudette's phone rings and it is from the kidnapper, informing them that they will tell them their demands by 7 the next morning. In the morning, we see Miller, the famous detective, and he starts investigating the case. he sets up a call tracking system to trace the call from the kidnapper. The kidnapper calls and asks to talk only to Nick. Nick starts a conversation with the kidnapper and keeps him busy so that the call can be traced. He successfully tricked the kidnapper, and the kidnapper's location was successfully traced. The call was from Paris. Later, Nick, Audrey, and Miller go to Paris with $70 million, as the kidnapper demands. Nick and Audrey go to the kidnapper, while Miller keeps an eye on him from the car. Soon, Nick's phone rings, and the kidnapper asks them to join them in the van. Nick and Audrey refuse to go inside the van, but when they are threatened, they agree to go inside. The van starts moving, and seeing this Miller, he starts chasing the van. Inside the van, a fight was going on between Nick, Audrey, and the kidnapper. Nick and Audrey successfully beat the kidnappers, and the van crashes into the cafe. Later, when Miller reaches the cafe, he asks them to give him the bag so he can safely give it to the kidnapper. Audrey got doubts about Miller. He may be the kidnapper, and she went to the window to watch Miller. As Miller gets into his car, it gets blasted, and a biker comes and takes the bag. Suddenly, he is hit by the truck, and a person comes out and takes the bag. Audrey noted down the truck's number and trace it. They find out the location of the truck. They reach the location, but they were caught by Imani, and they were tied up. Here they found that it was the Countess and Imani who planned all this. The Countess told them that she only takes bags from the Miller and knows nothing about the kidnapper. By saying this, she shoots Imani, drops the fire lamp, and starts leaving the villa. But by the time she leaves, Imani shoots back at her too, resulting in both get died. Room catches fire, but Nick and Audrey somehow manage to open it themselves and leave the villa before it catches fire. Later, Audrey informs everyone to reach the Eiffel Tower and asks the kidnapper to meet them as they were going to the Eiffel Tower. Everyone reaches the Eiffel Tower, as told by Audrey. Here, Nick and Audrey start interrogating everyone for kidnapping Maharaja. The interrogation was going on in the meantime. The Maharaja, who was wearing a time bomb, comes from the lift and gives them the message sent by the kidnapper as they have to send the money to the top floor, and they will defuse the bomb. But Nick refuses to follow the instructions given by the kidnappers as he found that the bomb is fake, and according to him, the kidnappers are very intelligent and he doesn't want to lose any chance of getting money. The time runs out and the bomb doesn't blow. Seeing this, the Miller arrives there by blasting the glass of the building. Here Nick asks him how he survived the car blast, and the Miller answers him as he went inside the titanium chamber, which is on the backseat of the car, and here we find out that the kidnapper is none other than the Miller itself. Miller reactivates the bomb. In the meantime, Susan arrives there to meet Gary. Seeing this as an opportunity, Nick attacks Miller, but due to a lack of fighting skills, he fails to stop him. But by the time Miller leaves, Audrey jumps on the Miller and gets to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Seeing this, Nick also arrives at the top. A fight started between Nick and Miller, but the fighting skills of the Miller easily beat Nick. For saving his life, Nick opens the bag, and all the cash starts flowing due to a helicopter's sweeping wings. After this, Miller leaves Nick. Later, he finds that all his plans were spoiled by Nick, therefore, he starts beating him again, but soon Audrey arrives and points out Miller with a gun. Miller stops beating, and Nick ties him up with the harness and starts the motor, which results Miller was hanging on the top of the helicopter's wing with the harness. Soon, the harness broke, and Milan fell in the helicopter, causing it to lose balance, hit the buildings, and get into the water. Later, everyone was relaxed as the real kidnapper was found out, and he is no more. But by the time Audrey found that Sarah's henna was soiled, Audrey asked about her, and she said that his henna was soiled due to today's rush-up. Audrey doubted Sarah. Audrey remained at the party, and she asked her, where was she during the Maharaja's entry dance? As she was not there during the entry dance at the party, Audrey tells everyone that it was Sarah who planned to kidnap and kill Maharaja. This results in Sarah shooting the Maharaja, but the Colonel saves him. And finally, the real kidnap was found as the mystery is finally solved. And the movie ends here. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and for more such videos, subscribe to the channel.